Hey, let's get our Forex on. All right, let's get going. It's 8:11 in the AM. All right, currency traders, welcome to Forex.Today, the YouTube channel of more than 19,000 of us. Let me remind you, I can do this, watch this. Let me remind you that trading's risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble. Focus on the long term. Never risk money you cannot afford to lose. My name is Wayne McDonald. I'm a currency trader just like you. I have a passion for fundamental analysis, seasonality, macroeconomics. Did I say that already? Monetary policy. Okay. As well as technical analysis. Oh, I love technical analysis. It's great. So I've been doing this a while, a couple of decades almost. So I've learned a few things. I've made quite a few mistakes, and I can share the good, the bad, and the ugly with you. But my overriding goal is to help you learn how to plan trades so that you plan trades first and then maybe you take trades second. Okay, and try to, in the beginning, control the losses that you might have as a newer trader, or as a seasoned trader, refine your entries and help you manage risk. Okay, bless you too, Mayor. Oh, is that right, Miranda? Thank you for that. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I know that's needed to happen for sure with the Fed tapering. So that's cool that that's happening. So thank you for that. I didn't have my eyes on that prize. So. Muchas gracias. Okay, so anyways, hey, I'd like to thank you for being here. I'd like to thank you for being a subscriber. Thank you for the positive energy and the professionalism that you bring to this channel every single day. If you could, would you please tell YouTube this is pretty decent, okay content worthy of at least a thumbs up. I also recommend if I actually say something intelligent, write it down and put it in the comment section below the recording, so that you can search YouTube in your little back office of YouTube and say, hey, when did I talk about remittance? And you're like, what was that thing he said about remittance? So you type in remittance and all of a sudden it brings up all the videos that you placed comments on mentioning remittance. So you can document and organize all these videos, so that you can tailor-make your experience here at Forex.Today, which I think is cool. Oh, muy bien. Gracias, Maida. Cool. And I'm picking up all the swear words, too, from watching Narcos Mexico Season 3. So anyways, cool. Thank you guys. I'm trying my best to provide you quality every single day. I'm trying to help, man. I'm trying to buy my way into heaven. So that's why I'm here. I'd also like to invite you to visit Tradersway.com, right? A foreign exchange, a boutique foreign exchange brokerage firm that doesn't seem to be trading against its clients, that doesn't seem to be double dipping on the swaps like a lot of brokers are. In fact, they're not. The execution speed seems fast. Dude, I like them. What can I say? They earned my respect during the Swiss National Bank debacle of whatever year, 5, 6, 7, probably 7 years ago now. And that debacle put a lot of brokers in jeopardy, put big brokers out of business, a couple of big brokers out of business, and they were not, Tradersway was not harmed at all. because, and that proved to me that they actually execute the trades in the interbanking system and they weren't trading against their clients. And I'm like, okay, that's what I want. But also the swaps, let me tell you, the swaps are a big reason I like them. So Tradersway.com, open up a demo. See if they earn your loyalty and respect too. Johnny watched the 1-hour interview with Kashkari. Great Q&A at the end. Good stuff. Thank you, Johnny. Johnny, you earned my loyalty and respect long ago, but you seem to do it again and again every day. Okay, awesome. Okay, awesome. That's awesome stuff. Cool, man. Right? That's cool. But it isn't. It's interesting, like, I think it's interesting how when you do the work, it's clear what's happening. And then you walk into a room of all these investment professionals, including Forex traders, but all these other types of, financial investors, advisors, money managers and stuff. You get into a room and there's this great debate. And I'm like, why are we debating? When there's a debate, to me, it seems like they haven't done the work. Like, they still think stuff. They still have opinions where you can't just say, well, Kashkari told us this, and this. Like, it doesn't have to be a debate. It's just sort of factual. And now the facts can change over time as we learn new information and stuff. But I don't understand, like, the debate part. I think it's closer to it just is. What's the debate? So anyways, thank you for doing that work. Okay. Now imagine this, Johnny. You're a portfolio manager managing people's money. You have, let's say, 2 analysts working for you watching the charts. And you have an associate that would do that kind of work for you. And the associate would meet with you and say, hey, Johnny, I spent an hour on that Kashkari interview and I just took some bullet points here. And these are my notes. This is what Kashkari said. This is how he addressed these inflation issues. This is what this and this is what that. And you're like, thank you. Now you can go on and make good decisions. How about that? That's where we're going, Bubba. All right. So what are we looking at here? Let's not start here. We'll get back to that. Hang on. I got to move my empty coffee cup, my empty Coke Zero Sugar cup. Now I got to move my cold brew coffee. Everything's in the way. All right. Well, let's not do that. Let's start with the indices. Okay. And again, these are currencies versus all other currencies. Okay. So let's talk about what that means. First of all, I have it, they should all be on hourly. See, I like to check. That was daily. I was doing some analysis. Okay, all hourly. So basically what we're looking at is over the last 24 to 48 hours, what the pound has been doing versus everything, what the euro has been doing versus everything. By everything, I mean the majors. CAD versus all the other majors. Yen versus all the other majors. So on and so forth. Now, okay, the dollar could be strong or everything else could be weak. And you'd get the same result. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Now, I had probably, I think the day trading meeting went almost 2 hours yesterday or an hour and a half yesterday. And I don't think we even did a chart. But we took this conversation here and really broke it down, like way down. We took that way downtown, right? And so it was a very interesting conversation. And then we talked big picture about the future of the industry. And wow, what an amazing meeting yesterday. So I'm looking forward to the swing trading group tonight because we usually get into all kinds of interesting things there as well. But this idea that you'd need to double check your facts and not make assumptions of what all this means. And that's what we kind of went through my process of doing that. But nonetheless, it looks like the U.S. dollar has weakened a little bit overnight. Okay. Yeah, we didn't, right, Maida? But I tried a couple of times, right? And then another like amazing question would come up, and all of a sudden I realized, dude, I need to I went upstairs and cooked my family their meal, right? Actually, I took them out for dinner, so that's cheating, right? But like, whew, definitely not a waste of time. Yeah, definitely not a waste of time, but wowzer. Yeah. Cool. I like people how we think forward, which is really great. But anyways, back to this. It looks like the yen is weakened and the dollar is weakened overnight. Pound has remained strong with the idea of the Bank of England's going to raise interest rates in December. I don't know if that's true. Why don't you do some research? Okay? And then, right? And then Kiwi is sort of rebounding, and that was one of my more appreciative currency, right? So that's cool. So let's kind of take a look at where we stand. Yeah, well, the thing is, we're so in tune right now, Meta, as a group. We're so in tuned. I'd be shocked if I said something that you didn't already know. The thing is, it's good to have that validation. Also, in the meetings, because I know you guys are so sharp and you know exactly what to do, I focus more on how do you get that decision on your own. And I think that is 10 times more interesting. And then what would I do? I think why I would do it would be more important. And why I'd be wrong. But anyways, what do you guys want to... Let's do the priority today. Okay, let's prioritize our meeting today to efficiently manage this meeting. What do you want to do first today? Okay, JPYs, USDs, cryptos, commodities. Oh, I guess I could do... I'll throw commodities and cryptos into the same. Let's do that. I really want to know what's on your mind so I can plan these things better. I'm going to throw in this one. So I'm counting cryptos as a commodity, so you'll see. Okay, I'm doing... Milo says RBNZ inflation expectations shooted into the air, including RBNZ will normally include the rate hikes, blah, 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 blah. Milos, we already know specifically that that's not their main concern, okay? But it can be a concern. So make sure, Milos, you're not reading a newspaper or a blog post. Make sure you know what the leaders of the RBNZ are actually saying. Okay? I'm not saying you're wrong, but boy, oh boy, make sure you're not regurgitating someone else's nonsense, because very often what's reported is not actually true. In some cases, radically not true. Okay? So I'm not saying you're wrong, just saying make sure those are your words, your thoughts. Okay, any more votes? Come on now. See you in the war room, Meta. Think you never stop grinding? Yeah, okay. Yen's first, dollars next. Hey, we're going in the normal order. Commodities, cryptos, and then some exotics. You got it. Baby, you got it. I'm your Venus. I'm your fire. All right. So, what do we have here? A failure to communicate. Well, look. On the long run... Okay, weeks ago when we were up here triple topping, Man, you triple topping. We said this was our buy zone. What I was expecting a day or two ago was a 21.55 cross, which would make me bullish. Not the buy zone making me bullish, but the 21.55. And in fact, it was preset where we're in the buy zone, near the neutral price, double bottoming, rising to a higher high, and I still, actually I took this one, but generally, I think I actually took this one, long, but generally speaking, on all the other pairs, before I really started going ape crazy, remember I said if we got this 21.55 cross up, I'll be throwing down trades like monkeys throw feces. Remember that? Someone said, ew, weird, right? But I'm trying to paint a picture. Well, now maybe you actually remember that. And I never got the cross, so I didn't go ape crazy throwing down trades. Even though I got my buy zone, right? Even though I got my double bottom, even though I got crosses on smaller time frames, I never got my trigger. And now maybe that protected me from bigger losses, of course, right? So I took way less trades than normal, and my lot sizes are smaller than normal. So, someone stepped on my toe, but I wasn't like shot by a shotgun kind of stuff. So now this still isn't invalid. Now it might be. We might find ourselves lower down here later today, which means I will continue to not trade. Okay. Now, for those that do want to trade this down, perfectly acceptable. I would really wait though before you do that. I'd wait for a lower low before you decide to day trade it down. Just because there are still some hopeful bulls here. If you're a bear, just be careful. Like selling in here is probably not a great idea. I think if you're a bear, you could wait and then catch the next round here. Okay? And you do that with your day trading charts, for example. Okay? And ultimately, you're looking for, I don't know, back to 80, let's say, as a beginning. Okay? So 300, even potentially 400 pips to the downside. So I think you could wait a little bit longer if you're a bear. Now, if you wanted to be if you're such an aggressive bear, this would have been the place to sell it. Although I think in the moment, it may have seemed like a bad time. See, because it was basically 50-50. 50% chance it would go up here, 50% chance it would go down there. So if you never took this one as a bear, you're nervous. You're like, oh, but it double bottomed and we're in a buy zone and we're neutral. Well, then all of those were risks. Okay? Okay? Cool. So this one says, all right, not ideal, but not unideal. Okay, let's take a look at this. Kiwi doing slightly better. What do we know? Well, we're not at the bottom of the buy zone. We're in the middle of the buy zone. And I'm a bull, so I'm okay with this. I'm perfectly okay with that retracement. In fact, I would argue that it was supposed to happen. Okay? So, I'm perfectly okay so far, just in general, strategically. I'm talking strategically. You might say, man, Wayne, you nuts, you crazy. Those are terrible technicals. Oh, well, I'm not really doing technicals. I am kind of doing technicals, but I have a strategic plan, not based on technicals at all. And then I go to this chart and I say, well, what's the basis of a strategic plan? And I say, this is my buy zone. I'm not looking at the price yet. I'm just, what the currency pair is doing. I'm just saying, if I were going to be a buyer strategically, when would I get interested? Okay, in one of the things I cover, I think it's in the swing trading group, in the swing trading course at FX Bootcamp, not the group, in the course. is the origin of pivot points and how they actually were derived from floor traders. Okay? And a floor trader would walk onto the floor and they would say, they'd have a bunch of buy orders and a bunch of sell orders. And they're like, well, the closer I get to here, I want to buy, let's say. And the closer you get to here, you want to sell. And they would mark these prices. They'd literally write them on the order card, on the back of the order card. So they would say, okay, I got to buy so many contracts of, Kiwi yen futures, let's say, right? And they say, okay, well, start buying, once we approach 79.50 down to 79. If it drops below 79, stop buying, let's say. That's one way of handling it. And then they would say, okay, I have a bunch of orders to sell some contracts. Okay, as we approach 82, sell the Kiwi yen contracts. You see? And we don't know, the trader doesn't know if they're going to get the opportunity. But when you get to certain prices, instead of freaking out with all the noise and the screaming and the yelling, they would just say, oh, okay, we're getting down to we're at 79.75. That's cool. Well, if I get down to 79.50, I can start buying. See the difference? So I'm kind of trading like that, where I'm like, I was a bull here. Okay. In fact, I was a bull. Yeah. Well, definitely there, right? And I was a bull here, but we recognize that this could fall hundreds of pips. But I also knew that this is where I want to get back in. So I'm perfectly fine with what's happened. My goal is, while I wait, try not to lose a bunch of money. So I'm pretty sure I bought in here somewhere and it didn't work out. Cry me a river, cry me a river. I just can't do it, man. I can't do it, JT. You don't have to say anything. I already know. I heard it from them. All right. So anyways, we got this going, but can we get that going? I don't know. Okay. The mayor says it makes sense long term. Yeah. Now, not everybody trades this way, of course. And a day trader would look at this and say, oh my God, this is good selling. Okay, good. And I look at this chart. Here's the first thing I look at. You ready? First thing I look at is this. And my general response to that is don't buy. But if you do buy it, even though rule number 1, don't buy it. But rule number 2, if you do buy it, be very, very careful. Okay? And that means less trades and smaller lot sizes. Yeah, Vodka's got to hit that high note. I don't have it, man. I just don't have it. Right? So I guess that's why they're superstars, right? Like Adam Levine, he's good looking, covered in tats. I'm like, oh man, girls are going to love this guy. Then he gets up, sings falsetto. And I'm like, okay, it's just some chick magnet selling records, right? And then he gets up at what's the radio shock jock guy's name? Howard Stern. He gets up at Howard Stern's birthday, pulls out a guitar, and plays "When Doves Cry." Or was it Purple Rain? I think it was Purple Rain. Purple Rain by Prince. And it's got that amazing guitar in it, and he can play it. I'm like, all right, that's legit. So what I'm trying to say is, I can't sing, I don't have falsetto, and I can't do the Prince Purple Rain song with the giant guitar solos at the end, right? So anyways, Adam Levine's a superstar. Yeah. By the way, these guys make so much money on that TV show. what's the guy from Aerosmith that was on one of those singing shows? What's his name? What's the guy's name? From Aerosmith. Sing with me, sing from the year. He has an interesting story about being on TV. Steven Tyler. Okay, Steven Tyler, lead singer for one of the greatest rock and roll bands, really of all time, right? And he tells a story that he'd go on vacation with his family to Hawaii. And very often he'd go for a walk on the beach. And he'd walk past, mega $1 million mansions on the beach in Hawaii. And he'd look up there and he's like, he wondered what it'd be like to own something like that because he didn't make that kind of money. I mean, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, lead singer, Aerosmith, sold albums for generations. And he's like, I can't afford to live like that. He did a couple of years, or 2-3 years on the singing TV show, and he made so much money he paid cash for one of those beach houses. He made more money on TV than he did 30 or 40 years as one of the most prolific rock and roll bands in history. Can you imagine that? He made more on TV than he ever remotely made as a singer-songwriter. Just crazy. Yeah, like he made 100 times more cash on TV. Amazing. Cool. Yeah. All right. So anywho, I am laser focused and I'm so hungry to buy. I'm so hungry, man. I want this so bad, but that's a dangerous place to be. And I am hanging on to discipline. Okay? Russell says you spent a lot of money too. You mean before or after music? But anyways, I'm focused on being disciplined right now. I have been actually for about 2.5 weeks. My focus is be disciplined, Wayne. Be disciplined, Wayne. Be disciplined. Where's the good setup? How do I set this up? What is the best way? Okay, I got the right price. What do I want now? I want a double bottom. Okay, now I got a double bottom. Now what do I want? I want a higher high. Now that I have a higher high, what do I want? I want to buy a higher low. And those are the trades that I lost on. And then I keep focused. Well, what do I know? What do I know? Am I making a mistake? Am I not making a mistake? Why do I have my beliefs? Are those beliefs still there? Can I validate those beliefs? Then, okay, great. If I can do that, then what's the next setup? What do I need so I know market conditions have turned in my favor based on my analysis? When can I confirm it? When is it not confirmed? How should I behave today? How should I behave this week? Where have we been? Where are we going? And all of this is focused on being disciplined and waiting for the thing I had planned on waiting for. And I'm telling you, it's hard. But that's what I've been doing. Okay? Okay? That's what I'm doing. So love it, hate it, all that kind of stuff. I'm just full disclosure. My number one goal is to be hardcore disciplined. And by that, I don't mean hanging on or clinging on to a dead hypothesis. Because that's stubborn. And that's stupid. And that leads to bankruptcy. So by discipline, I mean technically and fundamentally being hardcore planning. Okay? And so that's how I put all this together. So right now it's hopeful. Once again, we got this skyrocketing thing. Great. It's very encouraging. It's still not a go. Okay? I want to send the rocket, man. I want to send the rocket. I want to hit the button. T-minus 10, 9, Uh-oh, we got a sensor on one of the O-rings turning red. Shut the rocket down. Liftoff aborted. That's hard. You know how hard that is? If you spent 2 years building a rocket and you're 5 seconds away from sending it up and you have to hit the kill switch, but that's discipline. Okay? So anyways, this is close, baby. I'm really excited. I'm hoping, what, inverse head and shoulders next week? Okay? Okay. We have a question here, Darko, on yeah. By the way, when is the interest rate out of South Africa? When is that? Did that just happen? 8:30 maybe? Wait, that's not it. Sarb, baby, Sarb. There she be. Arr, there she be. Arr. All right, what do we got? Okay. So is it imminent? Is it out? You guys can Google this if you want. Keep me hanging on, oh. Okay. All right, so 5% inflation. Actually, that's not bad, is it? Repo, 3.5 on the repo, prime on the 7 on the prime. I'm going to go out of order then and just quickly look at these exotics. So sorry about that, but let's just do it anyways. Okay. Now, what is happening here? The world believes, right or wrong, it don't matter none. The world is preparing for higher interest rates in the United States. They are also preparing for less increases in interest rates around the world. Less growth is another one. We're looking at some countries having less growth, potentially. Okay? And so there's a readjustment. Some currencies were overbought. Okay? And some are projecting serious growth and inflation and interest rate hikes in the United States. Now, some of that is right, some of that is wrong, but nobody cares. It comes down to what the market is doing. If there's an increase in bond yields or Fed funds rate in the United States of America, South Africa is going to need to pay more, which means the value, if they have to pay more in rand, then you could look at it at the opposite. Each rand is worth less dollars. You could say it's more rand, or each rand buys less dollars. Okay, you see that? So that's what's happening. Now, I talked about this the day that the Fed tapered. Do you guys remember that announcement? And I went over how this impacts global money flow and allows other central banks to adjust accordingly. Most central banks were very hesitant to move or change their policy before the Fed because the Fed impacts the reserve currency. Okay? Well, the thing is, Henry, their 5% is reported in rand, but if they reported inflation in dollars, yeah, it'd be 15, right? So what I said, what was it, 3 weeks ago when the Fed announced their taper? I said South Africa now has the freedom to raise interest rates. Okay? So maybe now's the time, because if they raise interest rates, it could attract capital flow. So if foreigners want to buy the South African rand, partially to collect a high interest rate, but partially to get some catch-up growth and to get some exposure to commodities and get some exposure to emerging markets, then cool. Now it's even more attractive, you see? And then the rand appreciates. So I guess we're waiting on South Africa to jack up interest rates. Cool off domestically priced. See, like, if inflation, Henry says South African inflation is crazy, right? In terms of dollars, which means the rand is weaker. So domestically, it's only 5%. But if you try to buy something made outside the borders of South Africa, it's going to be much higher than that. Well, if South Africa, the Central Bank of South Africa, jacks up interest rates, it's going to attract capital. The rand will appreciate, and domestic and international-based inflation in South Africa will diminish, because South African rand will buy more than it used to. Okay? The purchasing power will go up. Okay? So what we talked about 3 weeks ago was that's likely to happen, and in fact, imminent. Okay. So I hope it works out for you guys. Okay, my South African brothers and sisters. I hope it works out. Because I know it can be tough when your money doesn't buy stuff and you need that stuff. Dude, it's going to be hard. Okay? And Americans are bitching because they can't get a PlayStation 5. In other countries, you're like, I can't buy food for my daughter. Right? So, whatever. Darko says, a weak dollar, how will that influence SAR? Well, their bonds, their USD priced bonds will become more affordable. And that means a couple of things. The debt service ratio improves, or South Africans just will have more money to spend on South Africa, or to build a swimming pool for the president. One of the two. Cool. So the top of the market here, remember, this being a low predicts this being a high. So maybe we're near there. Perfect timing. We get this, we get some interest rate hikes, and maybe we turn this corner. I wouldn't get too excited until we have a full week of rand appreciation versus the dollar. So I'm saying, maybe the top is 16, and I won't even get really excited until we get back to 15. If anything, if it's at 16, just for fun, I might take a shot because it's a nice big psych level and risk a little, go for a lot, right? Hey, when you're doing 10-to-1 risk-reward ratio, you could take little shots off the port bow every so often, right? So maybe. So let's just wait. Darko's 1.6 on the 10-year. Yeah, good. That's basically where it was last night. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. The CEO of Walmart said they're going to do more business with Mexico this year than last. Okay. Now that doesn't look like a sell, so I'll have to wait. Okay, hang on. I don't know if this is going to get me the right number. BBVA. Money flowing to Mexico is up 23%. Does anybody know what that means? It means, okay, the amount of money flowing from the United States to Mexico based on money made in the United States and sent. So it's just really people in the United States, citizens, migrant workers, illegal aliens, it don't matter none. Okay? People in America send money to Mexico all the time. Now, presumably, it's not a lot, right? It's not really like tourism. No, this is people in the United States borders going to a bank or going to Western Union and sending money this way, sending money back home. They're exchanging their US dollars for Mexican peso. They're selling USD and buying MXN. And the last time I looked, it was pretty close to $3 billion every month, but that is now up 23%. That's a lot, dude. 23%. So what does that mean for this chart? Up or down? Don't look at the chart. Talk about this. What does this mean? It's like an extra $1 billion this month. That's a currency trade, guys. I know $1 billion isn't $1 billion more isn't a lot, but we're looking at the relative change. We're looking at the flow of capital. We're foreign exchange traders. We trade the flow of capital. You're like, well, I trade the MACD. Okay, fine. But I'm trying to capture the flow of capital to understand, try to understand these markets. And if there's an increase this way, then the flow is that way. Now, 3 billion versus 4 billion on a $5 trillion a day market is chump change. Right? 3 or 4 billion a month versus 5 trillion a day. It's chump change, but it's still, I'm trying to at least track and understand the flow of capital across borders. So right now, the dollar might be strong, the Mexican peso might be weak, or the dollar is relatively strong versus everything, because everything else is quite weak. There's lots of ways of looking at it. And I would say, look, based on this huge increase in remittance flow, I would rather look for a setup that says down. Now, nothing on this chart says down, so I don't sell. But if for some reason we triple top here and we get a little setup here just beneath 21 and it looks like it wants to drop back down to 20, I say take the shot, Maverick. Take the shot. Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me, Goose. Should I do it? Okay. Cool, right? So there we is and there we will be. Again, check out the Reserve Bank of South Africa. If there's an interest rate hike coming, look for this to turn the corner, especially if we tickle 16 first. Could be interesting. All right, so let's go back to the ends. I apologize for that, but it seemed relevant, especially if there was a decision imminent. But Marina, if you know what time, like how many hours it's going to be until that announcement, let me know. I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so let's go back to our yen. By the way, you guys having fun? Is this good? Are we having a good day? Let me know. Click a like button. Half of you haven't clicked the thumbs up button. Come on now. Let me know what's going on. Okay, so Kiwi I talked about, Aussie I talked about. Let's do the beast. Cool. Right on. Okay, so let's go back to the beast. What were we talking about 24 hours ago? Okay, I don't like this, but I understand it. The second thing we talked about is this is my line in the sand. And you're like, Wayne, that's 2 lines. Well, come on, dude. I'm highlighting the actual line. Okay? That's right. Milos, correct. Milos says, repeat the saying. Now, it's not my saying, and I can't fully cite the source, but the source was like a man in, I think he was in his 80s, and he was a professional money manager, that had been trading for like 50 or 60, actually like 60 years of trading experience. And he said, you need to do a lot of research. You need to be the expert. You need to focus on what you know. Do the research, do the work, and come up with the opinion. And the more work you do, the stronger your opinion is. Okay? So you must have strong opinions. You know what you know, and you know why you know it. But if the market tells you you're wrong, you stop. Okay? So you have very strong opinions, but you have weak convictions. Where if the market is telling you you're wrong, you stop. And I thought, it was astute. That seemed like real advice from someone that has more trading experience than I've been alive. Okay? All right, so going back to here, this is a good start. Okay? I'm on a 4H, and look at that. I might have permission to engage. Did it just happen? Raina says it just happened. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Okay. This is our role reversal, so it ain't bullish yet or bearish yet. I wonder if it's going to go to 16 first. Okay. I'm thinking, let it go even higher. Let it have a crazy bullish day, and then we tear the house of cards down, huh? Yeah, oh, it did happen an hour ago. All right, thank you, Marina. So that's what this basically is. And it's interesting. The way I read this, the way I read the tea leaves, remember the tea leaves don't have like words. So it's interpretation. My interpretation of this is that it wasn't enough. Okay? And that's your overnight repo rate, huh? Interesting. Did the prime rate move at all? Okay. So anyways, I read this like it wasn't enough, and that South Africa's going to have to do more. Because remember, to make the calculations work for a foreign investor, is you have to take the nominal rate, okay, minus the risk-free rate, because if you could just buy the 10-year T-note, get 1.6, well, now basically South Africa is paying double that. Well, of course, 1.6 for 10 years, so that wouldn't be apples to apples. So yeah, the repo rate here is probably free, right? But anyways, you got to take that risk-free rate, and then you have to sort of like a risk premium to invest into South Africa, not somewhere else. If you don't understand risk premium, think of it as opportunity cost. You could give the money to South Africa, but you can give the money to the UK. You could put the money in real estate. You can put money in the US money market. You could put money in the, in the stock market. It's like, it's your opportunity, I guess, op cost, if you want to do that. Right? So your South Africa is going to have to attract you to invest. So you could say, well, I can get risk-free money. So you got to subtract that from the nominal. And then you're like, well, if I'm going to put money into South Africa, they're going to have to pay me for that risk because it's an emerging market, and you might face more currency exchange risk, that you lend a whole bunch of dollars to South Africa and the rand tanks and they pay you back in crappy right? Whatever. So that all has to be done. And what the world might say is, hey man, 3.75 is better, but it's not quite enough. Jack it to 5 and let's talk, is kind of what this says. Muhammad says, hey, would market participants prefer bond market over stocks? Well, let's talk about that. When you buy stocks, what do you get? You get ownership. Okay? When you buy bonds, what do you get? You are lending money. So you're a bank. You will collect a certain interest rate, or the other way of doing it, like if it's a treasury, you lend the government, let's say, I'll just say a ridiculous number, $900, and 10 years later they pay you $1,000 back. That's how they do it. They don't pay you an interest rate, they just pay you back, kind of thing, and then you can derive. Okay? So you are lending money to the company, let's say. Right? They owe you. It's a debt. They will pay you on exact days a certain percentage, and then on a certain day somewhere out in the future, the debt will expire and they pay everything back. So you might get 5% a year broken down into quarter 5%. So every quarter, right, you get 1/4 of 5% worth of money, and that might happen for 5 years. And then on the last day, they pay you all the money they borrowed 5 years earlier. So now you collected all these interest payments, which is income. So that's cash flow and that's finance. Okay, and at the end, you get your money back. Now, if the company goes bankrupt and the company becomes worthless, what happens to you? If the company is if the shares, so these shares go to zero, what happens to you as a stockholder? Your investment is now worth zero and you lost everything. Okay? If you are a bond holder or you've lent bond money to the company, bankruptcy court comes in and they sell assets, business division, computers, buildings, whatever, and they pay the bondholders. So what happens is, the company might still owe you interest payments plus that last $1,000, but the company is now worthless. It doesn't. So whatever cash is still left over, they sell the assets, they sell the businesses, they sell whatever they can sell, and you might get like $150. They owe you $900. You might walk away with $150, but at least you got something. And these guys get zip. So one thing of looking at it, the market cap of the stock market is X. The market capitalization of the bond market is probably X to the, 10? I don't know, that might be exaggerating. It might be X times 10. Not to the power of 10, but, X times 10, for example. Okay? Something like that. It's way bigger. The bond market is way, 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 way bigger. Way bigger. So it's not a preference. It's just an investment, strategy. It's like, what's better, real estate or the stock market? Well, okay. They're different. Okay. But they're valid and they're good. Okay. Awesome. All right, so let's move on.com. I think I did enough yens. Let's go into the dollar pairs, and then we'll do our commodities and crypto, okay? Okay. Pig dog 4 hour. Up, 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 down, down, buy. Up, 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 down, down, buy. Up, 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 down, down. What you want to do? What you want to do? She. I got a pocket full of pips and my homeboys do too. Huh? What you want to do? Okay. Are there bears in this market? Well, yeah, I would say there are. Okay. This is the best selling price of the week if you're a bear. There's role reversal stuff going here as a bear. But if you're a bull, you're trying this. Okay? And if so, you're on your way to the 200. Yeah, Matrix says it's a beautiful thing being private creditors. Hey, do you guys remember back in the worst of COVID crisis and the market collapsed? Do you guys remember I explained to you how you could get a Ford for free? A brand new Ford? If you had $50,000, I told you how you could get a $50,000 car made by Ford Motor Company for free. You guys remember that? By the way, the stock is up something like 300% since that speech. Yeah. Oh, Harvey remembers? Oh, Johnny doesn't remember that. How many people would like a quick overview? Richard's like, yeah, I got to dump back. How many people would like to get a quick overview of how I suggested back in probably February or March 2020 how you could get a free brand new Ford? Well, they still had them. They still had them on the car lot. Yeah. Yeah, well, what do you want? The Ford F-150 or the Mustang GT? Not no 4.8. If it's not a 5.0, it ain't a GT. Yeah. Richard's got the noted it. Yeah, and you're like, okay, this is a keeper. Okay, by the way, I gave the same speech back in 2007. Johnny says the F-150. The funny thing is, you're like, you go onto a Ford dealership and you're like, yeah, I'd like to buy a Ford F-150. And they're like, well, we have 270 different versions of the F-150. There is no such thing as an F-150. There's the $40,000 F-150. There's the $100,000 F-150. And there's everything in between. You're like, oh my God. Yeah, I've seen a few too, Johnny. Yeah. Okay, cool. Here's what I said. So you have to have $50,000 in cash, and you could go to Ford and buy a nice vehicle. I'll say car. How about car truck? Okay? Okay. That'll get you a reasonably new car. Okay? Yeah, one of my workers working on my house, he bought his teenage daughter. She just got her license. And he bought her a Ford Raptor. I'm like, you bought your little girl an $80,000 monster truck? And you paid cash? You're like, I said, oh, Pancho, I'm paying you too much money. And it's true, dude. This guy's expensive. I owe him $1,500. I'm like, oh my God, Pancho. Oh my God. Yeah, like crazy, right? I'm like, right? I should have been a contractor, man. Anyways, that's a nice truck, but all right. So you could go in and exchange your $50K, and what do you get? A $40,000 vehicle, because as soon as you drive it off the lot, it's worth $40,000. 3 years later, it's worth $30,000. 3 years later, it's worth $15,000. 3 years later, it's practically right. It'll be stuck at 10 grand, because if you buy a truck, it'll always be worth 10 grand. Doesn't matter. 300,000 miles, 20 years old, still worth 10 grand. Why? Because you can buy a truck, and it's work. Okay. Buy a car, nah, whatever. Okay. Cool. Or back then, you could take your $50K and lend it to Ford by buying a bond. Now, I believe the bond back then was paying something like, correct me if I'm wrong, it was like 12%. Okay? But at the same time, Ford was offering 0% loans. So you could loan Ford $50,000 and they pay you 12% a year. Meanwhile, at the end of the term, which I think was 4 or 5 years, they pay you your $50,000 back. Meanwhile, so you lend Ford 50 grand, so now you don't have the money, and then they lend you your money back for free. You get it? So now you got your Ford 0% interest payments, and every 3 months, you're collecting like 4% on your 50 grand, which should cover the vast majority, if not all, your payment on your truck. And then when it's all said and done, you get your $50,000 back. And you sell the truck, and you'll turn a profit because you got the truck for free. Now I bought a Porsche. So, right? I have a very, very custom Porsche. It turns people's heads. They're like, what the frick is this thing, right? People look, they turn around, they're like this when I drive by. It's really funny. But anyways, yeah, it's smart, right? Yeah, it's smart. It's called being smart money. So I want you to think about this. I'm not going to make this a big speech, but I want you to just sort of think about this. People with lots of money do not pay for cars. They do not pay for jets. Right? They don't pay for a lot of things. Okay? Because they have money and they can do things like this. Now, they also own businesses that own the plane. They own businesses that own the cars and all that kind of stuff. And there's ways of handling it where ultimately, right, people say, well, Trump's not a millionaire. He's broke. That might be true. He might have no money. But wealthy people generally don't have money. You have to stop thinking about cash as value. If you have cash, then you're underinvested. You need to own an asset that appreciates or provides income, or tax deferral strategies and stuff like that. But the thing is, you could say Trump lied. He doesn't have money. He's not a billionaire. Well, he's laughing at you while he's sitting in his $100 million apartment, flying around in his, $75 million jet. And he's like, I totally agree with you. I don't have any money, but I own lots of real estate. I own hotels around the world. I have business interests here and there, but I don't have any money. He's broke. Okay? But you got to think about that. That's the game, guys. If you have money, you're probably poor. If you have nothing but income producing assets and you're living off the cash flow from those assets, then you're wealthy. Your money is making you money because you don't have any money, you have assets. You exchanged your money for assets. So again, the media will point and say, Trump is broke, he's got no money. That's what wealthy people are. Okay? Dead broke. Every month they're waiting for that cash to rain out of the sky from all their assets. Okay? I learned that from talking to investors in the Middle East. They're like, we have all the money in the world, but we never spend it. This is what some guy, he was giving me advice. He's like, let me tell you about Dubai, right? Let me tell you about the Middle East, right? And I'm like, listening, right? So we're having our tea and everything. And he's like, we have all the money in the world, and we know it, but we never spend it. And he says, so if you think about, right, somebody, he said, like somebody like me, and I'm driving fancy cars, and I'm on fancy planes, and I'm on fancy boats, and I'm doing all these things. He's like, we're not spending the principal. Okay? He's like, if I gave you $10 million, you cannot lose even a penny of the $10 million. But I expect cash flow from the $10 million. And as long as that $10 million is there and you're providing me whatever number, let's say, I'll make up a number, $500,000 a year, then you said that will go to pay for gas for my jet. And then I get someone else investing $10 million. That $5 million, or right, that 500,000 is going to pay for the moor on my ship. And the other guy with 10 million, that's going to pay for my Lambo. He's like, so I'll have all my money spread out, right? And the thing is, we live on the income. But you cannot lose the principal. And I'm like, oh my God, that is so smart. I just got schooled on money right there. And I'm thinking, they're just sucking oil out of the ground and boom, 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 buy a Lambo. And I'm like, oh my God, no, this, right? All that money will be there for generations and generations and generations. It's like owning a skyscraper that's going to be there 100 years. People will always be paying rent. The money will always pay rent. But if you lose the money, you get buried somewhere out in the sand dunes between Abu Dhabi and Dubai. And that relationship's now over. And they'll give it to somebody else. And I'm like, that is epically smart. And it just changed my whole point of view. Okay? Changed my whole point of view. I admit, going to the Middle East for the first time, I had been told by, I don't know, movies and media and all that kind of stuff, a complete different picture of the Middle East, or at least of Dubai, right? That's not a full sort of tour of the Middle East, but what a wonderful place, and I've learned some amazing things from meeting with people in the region, in the Gulf region. It's an amazing place. I got real schooled right there. They didn't teach me that at Harvard. Okay? Okay? So, the rule number one to getting right, filthy, stinking rich, you should be dead broke. Okay? So if the media is saying Trump is a liar and he's dead broke, he's dead broke in a $100 million apartment, dead broke in his beautiful bedroom with views in probably 4 different states. He's dead broke in his $2,000 suit and his $10 haircut. Dead broke in his luxury private jet as he flies out to one of his hotels or golf courses, or he just, right? Yeah, you're right. Dead broke. He's got no money. That's the first step. You need to own assets. Cool. I don't want to look at Euro. It's so far away. I'm not even interested in looking. Okay. Once again, this was one where I was getting ready. Nope. Okay. One of the key things here is I wanted to see a 2155 cross to give me permission to engage. We got really, really close. We were kind of like up in here, and total collapse, lower low. So I'm out. I was never in this one, but I was super interested in this. I really liked that. I thought we were going to get close, and this was supposed to do that. And therefore, if it had done that, once again, I think this was the same time where I said I'd start throwing down trades like a monkey throws feces. And, well, I had the poop in my hand, but I put it down, right? So anyways, oh, so close. But I'm focused on being disciplined. Okay? Now, this is also really interesting. Let's go to the 4-hour. Once again, this one is also interesting. It's not the greatest price. It's not the greatest setup. It is a 618, but that's sort of irrelevant. We're back above the M2. That's okay. If you had a MACD on this, the MACD would be, right, showing that these moving averages are converging, that the MACD is moving up and towards the waterline, but is still clearly below the waterline. And it's very interesting. And we're right now front running tomorrow's trade. All of that is just absolutely fascinating, except I don't have a higher high yet. And I believe this is hardcore. So I'm cheering. I'm cheering from the sidelines. Okay? That's really cool. Put everything in real estate. Where in the world are you, Mohammed? Cisco said his favorite car. What favorite car? What's your favorite car? Oh, Egypt. Very interesting. Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. Boy, the last 10 years, 10, 15 years in Egypt, what amazing radical changes, huh? It'd be interesting to explore. I was working with someone years ago that wanted to start a hedge fund with his college professor that knew a bunch of big investors. He knew all the business people in Egypt, and it just never came together. But I was helping him structure everything and all that kind of stuff. And I always wondered what came of that, but it's got to be a very interesting place for investment. Yeah. I'm not sure about things like capital controls and government policies there. I'm not sure about the central banking policies there. I'd have to, start from scratch, but still, be interesting to, yeah. Porsche? Oh, that's, yeah. Well, I'm surprised how well the vehicle is made. The steering is beautiful, but you can look it up. The Magnum. It's a very rare Porsche. Anyways, I guess that's good enough, right? I guess that's good enough for the day. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May our profits be above average. Thank you for clicking the like button. And if you're in my swing trading group, I'll see you at 4 p.m. in the swing trading war room. Porsche 911 GT3 RS. I think a buddy of mine bought one 6 months ago in Dubai. Yeah, interesting. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May our profits be above average. Everyone.